everyone, it's Alexa here, and welcome to the start of my first solo vlog and my living room floor. I could just be in a chair, but I felt like sitting on the floor. So I am starting, as you can gauge from the title, a really difficult challenge that's also just super random, and I felt like, so I have 7 books I'm in the middle of that I want to finish up, and I'm giving myself 2.5 weeks to finish it up, starting from May 16th, the day of my master's graduation, day after I handed in the last assignment, to June 4th, so 2.5 weeks approximately to finish all of those 7 books. And I just want to go quick through what those books are. To get started, I have Beloved by Toni Morrison. So I have only 40 pages left in this. I started reading it for school. It was one of my classes. I was really enjoying it. It was really good. Didn't finish it in time for class and just kind of moved on, was going to get back to it later, but it was for right at the end of the semester. And so I was busy with papers and things. So that took a bit of a backseat while I finished things up. And since I was enjoying it so much, I want to finish it up. It's only 40 pages, so that shouldn't take me too long. So Beloved is a modern Southern Gothic. I love the genre. It follows a formerly enslaved woman and her one daughter. There is a person who comes to stay with them and causes some havoc. It's gothic, there's ghosts, there's spooky, hauntings, memory. It discusses the pain of trauma and how it lasts in the body, especially regarding slavery. How to Become a Dark Lord by Django Wexler. So I've been reading this actively is a bit of a stretch. But I started this August, the month before my program first started, so 2 years ago basically, almost. I thought I was going to be able to finish it before classes started. I did not. I am 200 pages into this. I was really enjoying it. It was really funny. My sister loaned it out to me. I eventually have to get it back to her. She still has several of my books held hostage, so we're good. It's okay that I've been holding on to it for years. Just like the name, the title suggests, is about a woman trying to become the Dark Lord. She gets sucked in from the real world, the kind of world we live in, into this fantasy world where she regularly keeps dying and repeating. She's been in this world for years, and she's decided and lived hundreds of lives. She's done everything there, except now she's going to become the Dark Lord and die trying, except after points she doesn't really want to die, because if you keep dying, you're not really accomplishing much. So she's taken this different spin and allied with the evil enemies, and it's dissecting a bit about this in a just really silly, goofy tone of voice, very video game inspired in a certain way, in that keep dying and reset kind of way. Very nerdy references, super fun. This one is the biggest challenge in the way that it's been nearly 2 years. I don't fully remember what happened. I think I remember just enough to pick up where I left off and finish it up. I'll be honest, this one's probably towards the bottom of my priorities list to finish up, just because it is so difficult to remember what happened. But it's so funny that I'm just kind of gonna push through eventually, in theory. I don't know. We'll see where it slots in. Next, we have Yellowback Radio Broke Down by Ishmael Reed. So another one I started for class. That was the last book we read for the semester. We discussed it literally the last day of class. I was lost with papers. It's a short book. It's only like 177 pages or so. I made it 77 pages. The text is super, there's not a lot of text on each page. The spacing is huge. So I can fly through this. I don't think I could describe this book. I don't fully know what it's about. I will have to remember to explain it if I get to it later in this vlog. Probably after I finish it, just then I can have some kind of understanding. The whole reason I'm reading this book, and it was picked for my class, was because of how crazy it is and all over the place. The class I read it for was about genre blending, so it's meant to be this Western crazy, but there's modernity in it, and there's just a little bit of everything, and it goes a little off the rails. Next on my list is a library book. I actually haven't started it yet. It is The Confessions of Catherine de Medici. It is a historical fiction novel following the life of Catherine de Medici as she becomes a young woman and eventually marries a future king of France. He's not in line for the throne at the time. They have a super interesting marriage. The king she married to, Henri IV, I believe, has a super well-known, super famous mistress, Diane de Poitiers. And the French escapes me right now, not ideal. I picked it up in advance for my trip to read some historical fiction in addition to learning some historical fact about it, just to really feel there. I'm also in a slight Catherine de Medici kick. I want to learn just so much about her. I think she's a really interesting historical figure since there's a lot of negative things about her. She has a really bad rap, often associated with serpents, just as like a traitorous, poisonous woman, when she's really just dealt a cruddy hand who wants their husband to not love them and super push his mistress in their face. I wouldn't like that. I don't think most people would be a fan, so, she's a little brutal. I get it. Plus, that was just court life. I love court politics. I think they're super interesting, and I love the drama that's with it, just the gossip and the subterfuge and all of the, politics behind it that drive I love a good political fantasy, and the same is true for historical fiction. The last physical book I have is The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. It is a bit of your classic romantasy. I think it might fall under the YA genre. I'm not fully sure. I started it midway through the semester because I got cocky and was like, yeah, I have time to read a totally book I have for fun. No, I didn't. I stopped just over 100 pages in. It follows this girl who just arrives from Fantôme after her mother gets killed by this guild of assassins that rule the city, basically, and she finds shelter in the rival guild of thieves, and it's an enemies to lover. There's darkness invading the city of Fantôme that basically propels the plot, so we'll see what I think. And then on to my two reads on my Kindle, because why make it easy for myself? So we have The Devil in Spring by Lisa Kleypas. It is a historical romance set in about the Victorian period, I'd say, close to the 1900s, just at the tail end of the 19th century. It's the third book in the Ravenel series, and it follows Pandora Ravenel as she basically super reckless and impulsive ends up having to marry this man because women's reputations, etc. And basically it's their love story, nothing too revolutionary. I started this as my gym book, basically, to read while I'm on the elliptical at the gym, just something light, fluffy. And then the final book is Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. I started reading it for a book club I'm part of at a bar in the area, but I double booked myself, so I'm not able to make it to that specific book club. I'm doing something with Michaela and another one of our friends that night, but I still want to finish it. I'm partway through. It is a mystery thriller about this podcast host her podcast is titled Tell Me What You Did, where she interviews alleged criminals who want to confess something mysteriously, and they tell their story of the crime they've committed, but she has her own dark past that comes back to bite her in the butt a little bit as one of her guests trying to dig up that past, basically. So hopefully I get just about everything done. I read at a snail's pace, so we'll see how much I get done. All right, I have about 2.5 weeks until I leave for my trip. I did some trip planning, so now I'm going to try and settle it down for a few hours and read. It's just after 8. I think I'm going to probably go with Devil in Spring by Kleypas on my Kindle instead of focusing on one of the physical books I have. I'm about 80% through with that. So in theory, I can crank through that pretty quick. It says I have 2 hours left, but I think it's a little bit less. There's a possibility I switch over and do some Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. I'm only about 15% into that, but it's starting to really heat up and get into some of the suspense murdery bits. So I'm really curious to see where that goes. And the short chapters, when it's just a couple pages, how can you not read just one more about 5 times? I might also just end up getting sucked into the Sabres game with Game 7 going tonight. Hopefully I get a good amount done, but it is a Monday. I am tired. It is almost my bedtime, even though it's only 8 o'clock. We'll see. As a surprise to approximately no one, I ended up not updating last night. Did I fall asleep? Yes. Did I get some reading done, though? Also yes. I'm now about 90% of the way into Devil in Spring. I'm hoping to finish that up today when I go to the gym. I also read a bit more about Tell Me What You Did. I'm now about 26% in there. I'm on break at work. Maybe I'll get some reading done. If not, I will talk to you after the gym. It's the next day. I'm still getting in the habit of updating regularly. So I didn't end up updating after I went to the gym yesterday. There, I read a bit more of Devil in Spring and Tell Me What You Did. Still haven't finished Devil in Spring. Decided that is going to wait until my next gym day. I have 30-40 minutes left, which granted for someone who, I read at a snail's pace, so someone else would probably finish that in 15 minutes, but I am a super slow reader, which is very inconvenient being a lit student, but c'est la vie. I have finished my first book, though, just with not Devil in Spring. I have finished Beloved by Toni Morrison. I gave it a 4 stars. I only had 30 pages left to go. I made the mistake of almost finishing it, had those 30 pages left, and then put it down for a couple weeks, just busy finishing up school. Those couple weeks without finishing it were a mistake. I was enjoying it a lot. I think I would have possibly even given it a 5 if I had finished it through. It was just that period of disconnect where I was locked in and then busy. I gave it the 4 stars because I was still really enjoying it, but waiting to finish a book at that final climax was just really stupid of me. No other way to describe it. But I finished it. I loved it. I'm gonna read more Toni Morrison. It is a crime that this was only the first Toni Morrison I had read. But that will have to wait hopefully later in the summer, but it might not be until even next year. Who knows? The life of a lit student. For tonight, I'm probably gonna read more Tell Me What You Did. I'm still about a quarter of the way into that. The short chapters are just so captivating. So I really just enjoy curling up with that right now. I might move on to The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. I've just been, that French-inspired fantasy is just calling my name. Assassins, thieves, those are my bread and butter. So I don't know how much longer I can hold off on that, even though I still have a lot left in that book. But maybe that long chunk of time is exactly what I need, or that long chunk of what's left in it is exactly, I have to go through it at some point. Why not tonight? I finished one of 6 books. I still have just over 2 weeks. See my little paper chain behind me counting down the days until we leave. Look at me go, remembering to make an evening update now. I think I'm done reading for the night. I'm just over halfway through Tell Me What You Did now. I was iffy about it before. I'm less iffy on it now. It's not blowing my mind, but I'm enjoying it a lot more. I'm less aware of reading a book in the way where I'm not questioning the plot structure of why any of this is happening. I'm still questioning why it's happening, but in the way I'm supposed to be questioning why it's happening for a thriller. The short chapters are just pushing me through. How do you not keep going when the next chapter is just 3 minutes, 5 minutes long? I'm gonna just keep doing it. Did that about a dozen times. I'm gonna, in theory, finish it at the gym in the next couple of days, but we'll see. I am fresh from the gym and freshly finished Devil in Spring. That was the definition of fine. It was fine. I'm giving it 3 stars, which is fine. The third act conflict felt very pointless and didn't really do much. I think it was mostly to introduce the next book in the series and to not be a breakup, basically. So that's fine. The theme of that book is fine. To be fair, most romances I read are in that fine category, and I just read them to have a little bit of candy and just something a little mindless to churn through on the elliptical at the gym. And next I'm going to turn myself to the Dagger and the Flame. We'll see how far I get into that tonight. I don't anticipate reading too much. I just have a bunch of stuff to do around here. I have to put away laundry that I've been putting off for a week and pack up. I'm going on a trip this weekend. I seem like I travel so much with my impending trip, but this weekend should allow me to do a lot of reading. I'm going to a lake house, so I just want to sit by the lake, drink some wine, and read a good book, or 5. We are down to 5. Feel like I'm on a really good roll, but it's important for me to keep in mind, and for you to keep in mind, is those 5 books I have left are the ones that I've not as much through. So Memorial Weekend is basically over. I didn't get as much done as I wanted to. The weather was pretty lousy, so I did do a decent amount of reading, but it wasn't the sit out by the water, drink a bunch of wine, and read weekend I was aiming for. I still did get most of what I had left in Tell Me What You Did finished, since turned out my mom was also reading it, so we were reading that a bit together. And I can't imagine the next time I pick that up not just trying to fly through it. I'm trying to hold that off, though, until I go to the gym, so I have something to do while I'm on the elliptical there. Then I did get a little bit further into the Dagger and the Flame. I'm all about 200 pages in there now. I'm hopefully going to read a bit more of that tonight. I want to know what's going on. I want to like it so bad. It's a nice, fun little romantasy. I think it might be YA, which maybe that's part of why I'm not jiving with it, but it's not because it's super young that I don't like it. I just don't care as much as I want to. I think the world is just throwing me off because it's modern, but it's that loosely fantasy, generic, historical mixed with aspects of modernity, mostly in just how they dress. That's just, I want one or the other a bit. I don't necessarily love the modern type approach, especially with more recent romances that I've read. They'll sometimes do that. Heartless Henner / The Crimson Moth series did that, and it was fine. I really enjoyed that duology. I was able to push past it, but I think just something about the Dagger and the Flame isn't doing it for me, which is, maybe I just need to get a little bit further. It seems like we've gotten past the introduction stuff and they're starting to get really into the plot. So I think that'll start heating up. So maybe that will pull me in a bit more. Either way, I still want to finish it for now. I'm not quite ready to DNF it. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, we are T-minus 1 week from the trip. And that should be really exciting. And it mostly is. I'm not just stressed out by this, random reading challenge I put on myself that is slightly arbitrary and should not be a defining factor in my life. I'm more stressed about just international travel, the state of the world, the constant flow of anxiety I already have, the details that are still light on the planning. That said, with my arbitrary reading challenge, I'm not confident that it's gonna get done. I am 1 week out, as I have said. I have only completed 2 books. I'm going to the gym tomorrow. I am confident I'll finish Tell Me What You Did. I am still 300 pages out from finishing the Dagger and the Flame. I plan to settle down the next hour. I'm going to take a shower and then read and see how far I get. I've, in theory, like a good hour reading time, and we'll see. I feel it's achievable if I just sit and read. And I enjoy sitting and reading. Do I sit and read as much as I want to? No. Yeah, that's it. No. As part of the fun of this is, like, I shouldn't be reading more to hit arbitrary goals in a way that stresses me out and just to create a platform, etc. But I want to read more, and it's so easy to just sit and doom scroll and just binge watch some show I've seen 800 times on Netflix. Avatar: The Last Airbender, I am talking to you. But I want to read more, and this kind of forces me to, because I want to be on my phone less. I want to be looking at screens less. I already spend 8 hours a day on my computer, plus whatever other time I spend doing nonsense. But, so we'll see. I think I can do it. I just need to sit and read, and if the Dagger and the Flame starts to pick up and be better, that'll be easier to do. I'm not going to DNF it. I don't want to DNF it. I don't dislike it enough to DNF it. It's just, I wanted more. And I think I'm getting more soon, though. I think there's going to be some more, like, cloak and dagger-y stuff. Like, the traditional word phrasing of it, not the cloaks and daggers groups that are in the novel. Well, both. Technically both, but the fun heists, danger, backstabbing, all of that stuff. We'll see. We'll see how far I get into it today. Boy, do I have some updates for you today. So, I made good on my promise, and I finished Tell Me What You Did today. I didn't have much left, so it wasn't too bad to finish up. I was kind of disappointed by it, especially with how much I was enjoying it for a while. Well, I guess I had a rocky relationship with it, to be fair. I gave it 3 stars. I just feel like the end was really anticlimactic. The twists, I'm not fully sure what's considered a twist and what's not in the end. I don't know, I was kind of bored by it. It was a little eye-rolly. Maybe in some ways this was a book that challenged my identity. I feel like in some ways the ending was a bit of a trolley problem with the violence of it in certain ways. Like, it wasn't like gore, slasher, but there was some violence at the end. And I just questioned and reevaluated my own stance on certain things. I'm very much a pacifist, very anti-violence in almost any situation. So I evaluated that. Little callback to Michaela and I's tag that we did, our first video. I think I'm like gonna start a little side quest for myself on reading a bunch of thrillers and mystery thrillers because I want to find one that really works for me. I feel like I haven't read one that does. I also just feel like I've been giving a lot of books just 3 stars lately, like nothing super blown my socks off. And I don't know if that's a me problem being too harsh or if I'm not picking up the right books or if just it's that a phase in my life where a lot of books aren't super doing it for me. Well, now that I'm like on a break from school, I have some time to read purely for funsies, so we'll see what comes. But so other update I have, I am just over halfway through the Dagger and the Flame. I'm of 2 minds for that one as well. So the banter between the 2 protagonists is super fun and super silly. Well, silly is not the right word. It's super just, I love a good banter. I love some good sarcasm. I like some good digs. And it has that. and I'm enjoying it, but there's still a lot of parts where it's enemies to lovers, right? And so I want that tension, that build, that slow, like, oh, we have feelings for each other, and just like, oh, we're like enemies. How is that gonna work? It's so funny though, like what it's supposed to be. It's like funny banter, and I love that. And then there was another part where Seraphine got really mad at the boy from her childhood. It was like, why didn't he do something? And it's just like, I hate, like, I feel like it's almost a trope when she gets a girl get mad at the guy for something like this, or like in general, someone will get mad at the other person. And it's like, but what were they supposed to do? Like, there wasn't really much they could do. Like, I get, okay, you're turned off from this person now, or like you want to cut ties, but it's also just like, what were they supposed to do? The whole point was that they couldn't do anything. And it's just like, I understand, like, that sucks and you don't want to do anything with that. It felt unnecessary. It was unnecessary. And just, like, Seraphine, what was he supposed to do? He did the same thing. I think I'm not gonna know how I feel about it until the end. I would be really surprised if it turns out a 5-star, but it could be a 4, or it could be a 2, or it'll probably be a 3, but it could be anywhere in that range. Who knows? I could hate it. I don't think I'm gonna hate it. It's funny enough that I'm gonna give it at least a 2-star. I don't think it's that bad. Maybe I don't know. I'll see when I finish it. It is however many days. So I've made some progress in the Dagger and the Flame. I have put its dust jacket on. It is no longer naked. I am not finished with it yet. No more books have been finished. I have about 100 pages left in it. Since I finished my ebooks, I was able to actually snag the Dagger and the Flame for my Kindle. So that's now my gym book. I had to put that book down. I was getting really mad with it. Well, disappointed. I'm really disappointed by it because it's my dream situation. This fantasy city based on Paris with a guild of assassins and a guild of thieves. That is like the dream for me. And it's just, and the magic has these high consequences with using them. So I should love it. And I'm not. It's not bad. I could see why people would love it. It's also just, it's not giving me enough. I don't care about most of the characters. There was this reveal that just happened that was supposed to be this big reveal, and it didn't feel, like I kind of predicted it, like I wasn't surprised by it. I could see how it would be surprising. It wasn't hinted at enough, though. I was just like, okay, why is this happening? And then it connects to this twist, but not in a way that it was like hinted at, really. And it's enemies to lovers, and there's not that yearning I want in the right way. It's just kind of like, oh, we're enemies. Oh, she's hot. Oh, she's a spitfire. And it's just, I want more of that push and pull tension that they're not really giving. I'm not feeling anything. I'm just being told what I'm supposed to feel, and these beats are just happening because they're supposed to and not making me like feel, which is really interesting too because it's 500 pages. It's not a short book, and it doesn't feel like it's rushed, and it doesn't feel like it's dragging on. It's paced well. It's just not, it's too much of that show and not tell that so I had to put it, I'm gonna finish it still. I want to still see how it plays out. I haven't fully ruled out reading the second book, but I already kind of know that'd be a stupid choice on my part to read it. There's a chance I fall, what's likely to happen, / not out of the realm of possibility, is I'm going to read the ending, the final 100 pages, since everything's about to like kick off and really go down, that final climax. And I'm going to want to know what happens in the second book, but it's not because I care about the characters, which is, it's a romantasy. That's what you're reading it for. Like, yes, you want that good fantasy setup with that drama, but it's not detailed either. there's not enough of the heists and the murdery bits. And the other thing isn't as developed as I want. Like, it's talked about, but it's not, like, seen. And the interpersonal drama, I'm not getting enough of the details there. I really don't know how this book is so long. And I'm not, like, bored by it, what's happening in it. I'm just frustrated that I'm not getting more. But so, it had me pick up the Confessions of Catherine de Medici. I am about 50 pages into that. I'm enjoying it. It's going pretty quick since it's written with so far short chapters. I'm 50 pages in. Yet the writing, it's a pretty standard historical fiction on this type of thing. I'm enjoying it. I'm curious to see how they depict Catherine de Medici in this. I think they're going to not soften what she did, which I appreciate, but I don't think they're going to overly villainize her. I'm hoping it'll be really written with, like, the author loves Catherine de Medici. So we'll see. This is one I really hope to finish since I have to return the library book. I'm hoping to get through a lot more of Confessions tonight, but we'll see since it's already after 9:30 and I really need to go to bed early tonight. I have woken up way earlier than I want to both days this week, yesterday and today, even though I stayed up until like 3:30 yesterday playing Civilization. And I don't stay up that late. I'm sleepy. And I woke up at like 9:30, which isn't as bad as it could have been, but so I'm going to bed early tonight and we'll get a little bit more reading done. I haven't really done anything today productive. I basically just sat down and hung out while my partner packed, and I just kind of hung out watching TV. But we shall see. And so here we are. Fast forward 2 weeks. I am back in the country. My trip has come and gone. It was delightful for the most part, really great. I got some reading done. That'll be coming in a future video. But first I'm winding up the little challenge I gave myself to see how many books I could finish before I left. I was very silly and a little delusional for thinking I could finish that whole thing, filming my final clip and editing it when I still had to work a half day and then get my butt moving to the airport and driving 2 hours to get to that said airport. Yeah, that did not happen. Glad to know I'm ambitious, but yeah. So, finishing up the video with a little recap of everything I got done. I believe I completed 3 books of the 7 beforehand. I finished Devil in Spring by Lisa Kleypas, Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson, and Beloved by Toni Morrison. I eventually finished On the Plane Ride Home, The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. I absolutely did not like it. I was so disappointed. My feelings did not change. I am curious where it goes, but I don't know if my curiosity is enough to go forward with it. Maybe it's something I pick up on audio. I was thinking, oh, maybe it'll like finally do something about the black and white thinking that just does not work when there's assassins and thieves. And it was gonna finally like do a gray area thing, something reminiscent of the Rose Society books by Marie Lu, where the main character starts off with this noble quest and then it gets dark and gritty and she goes too far. I don't think that's what's happening. But so I gave that 2 stars. I did not finish Confessions of Catherine de Medici. I got really close. I tried to hammer it out on audio. I grabbed it from Spotify. I have like maybe 2 hours left or something. I think that's going to be an unfortunate DNF. I don't know if I'll ever get around to finishing it. I was enjoying it. It's came and gone from my brain. Additionally, I have failed to finish Yellowback Radio Broke Down. Not surprised, this is the back of my list. I want to finish it because why not? I have it, it's halfway finished. But it's a weird book. I was reading for class, who knows? And then I did not finish How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. Eventually I will get to it, but now is not the time. We shall see. I got 3.5-ish books done if we want to count The Dagger and the Flame somewhat. That's about what I expected for myself. 7 was ridiculously ambitious. I was really trying to pull through. There was a brief time where I thought I was going to do it. Random, hopeless optimism that splashes upon the world. I read more during my trip than I thought I would, so that at least is cool. It seems my reading pace is picking up a little bit now. We'll see what the summer holds. All right, thank you. Bye.